Hi, Madeline.
How
Hello.
how are you?
Wonderful. How are you doing?
Good. I'm moving outside because I'm in a coffee shop here.
Okay.
Okay.
There she is.
Hi.
Ding,
Hi.
ding, ding, ding.
It's so good
How
to
are
see
you?
you. Good to see. Oh, so good to see you. We got a lot to share.
You do?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. There's a lot happening here.
Monica, for 1 second, will you take off the recording just for a second?
Sure.
As an update, so you knew this goes, which
Okay, I'm
is
recording.
okay, so there was a question, and I may have told you guys this before, but I guess during COVID, a lot of people were asking a question. Um, about whether the United States was a failed state. And there's a gentleman who worked for the World Bank who is getting the question. And his name is Seth Kaplan. So Seth Kaplan decided to write a book to describe what is the case instead of it being, and he said, no, America is not a failed state, but it has fragile neighborhoods. So he wrote a book called Fragile Neighborhoods.
Hmm.
And he talks about and did a study to look at how we need to create these kind of wraparound services within neighborhoods where everyone is better connected the way that they used to be. This was something that was normal, but has actually kind of dissipated. So in his book he gives a series of examples, etc. And he also worked with a man who wrote this book in the Federal Reserve called The Fifth Estate, or The Fifth Freedom. It's called The Fifth Freedom.
Uh-huh.
And so anyway, um another, you remember in the project that I was doing in Seattle, there was a gentleman who also is an author, and he has essentially established a what's called the parish collective, and that's different churches across the whole US that working together and have a they're like moving people out of the church and into the neighborhood. So he was being hit up by the Lilly Foundation to do more placemaking, and then he connected with Seth Kaplan, and then Seth Kaplan and him, and we brought Ethan Kent into it. um, um, and then from there, every year there's been a like flourishing neighborhoods meetup in New York City.
Hmm.
The flourishing neighborhoods meetup was to build the field around this topic of placemaking, but it's bigger than that, because and most of the institutions that have come to that gathering are national institutions that are working in communities across the whole US, which was a hugely different pool of people than we in Placemaking US had been working with. Because what we like when we went on the road recovery tour and met with you and everybody, we were meeting other placemakers.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't meeting people who worked in these national organizations. Well, one of the folks who is in the national organization, there is named Chris Coe. And Chris was at the time the head of the United Way in Los Angeles specific. So what was really interesting is he had this idea, and he created a whole vision structure to take and do a model of the neighborhood as a unit, and to move back 100 years to what in the United Way was known as the community chest, which is
Uh-huh.
how the United Way started and how
Right.
we got that piece on the Monopoly board, right? The
Mm-hmm.
the United Way. So
Jim
it
used to be
so
funded by the United Way with the McMath Holbert Solar Observatory Discovery Program.
wait, what? Say that again.
Jim was funded once by the United Way for the Discovery Program at the McMath Holbert Solar Observatory.
Okay.
And,
So
Yeah.
you
and
have a
and
a
that
fam
group that grew into 32 cities in Michigan.
Amazing. And yeah, so okay, just like what you just said, it grew into 30 cities. So I, from the
You want to
perspective,
grow.
no, from the placemaking US perspective, I was like really excited. And the folks, after going to that meeting, they two of the people who were on the leadership board of what they called the Prosperity Initiative, which was this initiative, they came to one of the foodway summits that Ryan organizes every year in Long Beach. And they saw all of the connectivity of all the foodways in Long Beach and they got really excited. And that's really between us meeting Chris Coe, us reaching out to all of the folks on the list of people who came to the Federal Reserve and this meetup that they came to this foodway summit, they decided that they wanted to hire us as consultants with them and to start with this series of 4 neighborhoods. So these 4 neighborhoods are like oh, actually I could actually show you guys kind of how I can actually show you. But the main thing is I was really excited and I am still excited about this idea because I was like, oh my gosh, if we were able to use the neighborhood as a unit and show how placemaking can transform a neighborhood, where the grassroots folks are seeing local issues and
Mhm.
then transforming them. I said that that model would be an amazing thing to be able to work on, if it's successful and this pilot is successful, it will create this thing. So we started in 2023 to work. The first neighborhood is Pico Union, which is a 20, maybe about, it's like a 26,000 person neighborhood. Mostly it's a neighborhood that used to be like a kind of like a Hollywood type neighborhood. I mean, Bel Air-ish. It was very nice. And it has these schools that are kind of insane. Like they look like they're from Europe, like Oxford University or something. The schools in this neighborhood. And then there's this beautiful park in the center that's a giant lake.
Uh-huh.
But at some point, probably around the 80s, there was again white flight, and then there was all of this immigrant community, which is all mostly from Central America, that aggregated in that place.
Wow.
And what happened is that the culture of that place came into this whole place and filled it up. And
Hmm.
so now there's like masses of public markets everywhere, but they're de facto public markets. So essentially, people are there hawking their own goods on their own streets for their own neighbors, but the city has never formally allowed them to be there. So and it's kind of chaotic in the way that it's happened. And it's interesting because PPS came in, I guess, in 2007, and they were asked to do a public market study. And so during the public market study, they actually said, or Steve Davies told me, and he sent me the paper on it. He said this project ended up being a failure. And since that, and what happened is they were creating a public market system along that whole giant, it's called Westlake MacArthur Park area, so that vendors could vend all around it. Well, since then, like all these other things have happened, and actually the vendors are all throughout the whole town on the sidewalks. There is no
Wow.
actual structure or place for them. But friends of mine who came from Chile, which is like Cote and others who came and helped, they said this is just like home. Like, this is what it's like where people
We
are
brought the
vending. So
culture.
yeah. And then now I'm also connected to somebody who knows that there's this whole developer thing going on underneath where they're almost obstructing any progress in order so that they can do what they do, which is they want to, they don't want all that there, and they want to actually buy out all around that Westlake MacArthur Park in order to develop it in another way, right?
Develop it for
For
another culture, for
for
a
quote
different
unquote
culture.
higher
Ah,
uses. That's the kind of thing. Anyway, that's only one piece of the story. And we started, looking at one part of the neighborhood with this team and really started working through what did they did an asset map. They every one of these neighborhoods has done this year-long asset mapping project with the community. So in this situation, there were 500 people, 60 NGOs, and they all together created an asset map of what the needs of the community that they think are the most important.
The real
And
needs.
yeah, so they came up with all that, and those are the areas we were working in. So we picked 6 areas to help develop. And so over the past year, unfortunately, what happened is they brought us in a year after they did the asset map, or at the second year. And so we weren't there to meet the community. But the second neighborhood we were, and we went through the whole thing. So it's interesting because it's like we looked at one project without access to the community, and the second project we looked at with access. So I've been developing a process in which the neighborhood can be activated immediately. And I really like, I don't know if you guys know Engwich, the guy who placemaking, he wrote a book called, oh, I have to show you guys this. I think I have a copy of it with me. Revitalize your town center in 7 weeks. Here it is. Have you seen this?
Yeah, no, I've never seen that one.
Okay, so anyway, between his method, which I think we were going to invite him to come out, but it didn't end up working out because there's been a lot of shifts. And okay. So you guys know that California caught on fire. You know that there's been raids. There's like all these things happening, which are called unintended consequences.
Right.
And so it constantly pulls things off of its trajectory that you're doing, which ends up changing the whole structure of everything you're doing.
Right.
And to make it's interesting to make all of this more agile. Like I've also been thinking about that, and I met a beautiful woman who also was at the Federal Reserve, who is a complexity thinker, and she sent me some articles about how projects change because of unintended consequences. So utilizing her theoretical work around this, like I also have just been trying to I've been trying to figure out this whole process. So that's basically what's been going on. And I'm like, I have just been very excited. And right now, we're about to speak to the United Way about story mapping so far, what has already happened. And it's the second neighborhood is coming in because of the fires and a transition of leadership, which is part of the whole shift.
Mhm.
And Chris Coe got hired by the Annenberg Foundation. So now the visionary behind the whole project isn't there. And so it's almost like they need to prove themselves to this new leader to see if we're even going to be able to carry on this neighborhood work project. So anyway, and right now we're trying to document and preserve and get it to the leaders so that they understand what this is. And a big part of that project also had to do with cooperative development. And it took the research of that year to even find the leaders that are near and in the community that would be ready to cooperatize all of these different markets and stuff so that these people could actually work without fear of actually if of their undocumented status
Right.
or
Right.
whatever is happening, which is another huge piece. So
Sure.
in a nutshell, that's basically what has been going on for me with my work with the United Way and everything that's going on. And I have a more detailed thing that I can share with you guys, but that's that. And then yeah, and in the meantime, I think, I believe that like Ryan has been continuing to network build, and I think a new newsletter came out where he's uh, doing a lot of webinars, etc., sharing the work of other people, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So how does that or might that impact the project in 2026 that's coming to Detroit?
Yeah, are you still working with would you still be interested in combining your efforts with that?
Can you guys unpack for me a little more so I can,
So the fifth international
yes.
placemaking event.
Placemaking Week in Detroit.
Oh,
Placemaking Week with
wait a
project,
minute.
but Project for Public Spaces.
Wait, so PPS now has decided that they're doing it in Detroit?
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't know
Okay,
that?
no. I knew, like, what I knew is that Katie thought that she was gonna get picked in Jacksonville, and I haven't paid attention to actually what was
She didn't
chosen.
get
So,
picked. She didn't get
Yeah.
picked.
yes, okay, so it's gonna be in Detroit. I would love, yes, of course, I would love to be a part of that. And I mean,
Well,
last year,
so what if we com targeted
yes,
United Way
that's interesting. You know
for
what? That's a
doing
great
for
idea.
doing, guess what the story in Detroit is? The story in Detroit is they've done billions of dollars of expenditures over the last decade for people who don't look like Detroiters.
Wait, the United Way has done that?
Yeah,
No.
billions of dollars
The
have been
other
spent.
adjust.
Billions of dollars have been spent on people who don't look like they're from Detroit because they're from the suburbs.
But who's doing that?
The people with a lot of money,
Okay. So
Like
the
the
the Dan
developers,
Gilberts, the Dan
Downtown
Gil-
Detroit
the Dan
Partnership.
Gilberts,
Get
and
Dan
and the
Gilbert.
people with serious money who invested in Detroit.
And
okay.
And,
they all
and,
use
and of
campus
course,
marsh
and of
just like
course, the
playground.
leadership went with that, right?
Okay.
The leadership went with that. In other words, the
Okay.
city of Detroit, which was now run by someone who looks like me
Okay.
for the last 15 years, he's running for governor now. They all went with the suburbanites coming down on Friday night. They don't pay taxes.
Yeah, this story
So,
that you're telling right now, in which we've heard over and over and over,
uh-huh.
we need to let's do something where we,
I'm getting there. I
okay,
have to
go
set
ahead.
the story.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So now they recognize that those people don't pay taxes.
Oh man.
All right. And so what they have run is a thing called greenways through the community from the city out into the neighborhoods. And of course, the thinking is look, we're going to take this out to the neighborhoods when the real deal is that now the neighborhoods have a chance to come into their city and they're going to come down the greenways in ways that they couldn't otherwise
Right,
because they
that's
don't have
good.
they don't have automobiles. They,
Oh,
they don't have they don't have insurance.
this is
Accepted?
the project you guys were working on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
we're in the catbird seat. Okay.
Yeah.
We went out to the community in Detroit when we first went there 4 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, with that intention. And now the timing is just worked out right. So what if that was our message in 2026 during placemaking week in Detroit?
Okay, tell me the message as a thesis.
That is the message. The thesis is what does United Way and the way in which they interact with their community foundation produce the desired result, which is a people process versus a dollar process. It's that simple and difficult and complex. And if you already are working and have a model that is unfolding, what better
Yes.
place what better place to bring that forth than in a place that now recognizes the error of it's all about the money and it's now all about the people.
Okay, here's my question for you. So you said that the Detroit United Way has been a participant in.
It's the United Way of Southeastern Michigan.
Oh wait, could I say something really quick, Jim? Here,
Sure.
just so you know, Madeline, we weren't tagging United Way as a participant in
No, wait,
in the
United Way,
gentrification.
United Way has not been invited to this party.
Wait, I'm not done. Hold on. And the United Way actually, when Campus Martius was being created, they actually used to have their headquarters in downtown Detroit, right at Campus Martius. But
Okay, so
but
your
a lot of the
request here is
Yeah.
that the United Way needs to get on board.
Right.
yeah.
Okay, and here's what's interesting.
And they
So,
will. And,
but
and they
here,
will.
okay, so what's interesting to me is I thought that what was done with the United Way LA was a very progressive move by one leader who decided to try out something different.
Uh-huh.
And so that is what the pilot was really exciting. And there are a few other United Ways, which I can actually talk to Norma. She told me there's a few other United Ways that are in this liberatory journey where they're trying to help communities with land trust, helps. And I also got a contact from Canada where I don't know if you remember, I went to the Art of City building conference a few years ago,
With Mary
and
Rowe.
not with Mary Rowe. I went
Okay.
TJ McGuire. I was with
Okay.
I was with TJ, and then what ended up happening is that the area in Halifax was the area we were looking at, and there's a young leader there who started a whole land trust movement, and right now him and this woman, Luisa Andongo, have invited me to actually be a part of something with them around this land trust. But I saw that in the statement they have another event coming up, and the United Way of Canada is also going to be a part of
Oh
this
wow.
thing. So I'm very curious to understand. So what I was gonna do is
Yeah.
this is what I'm thinking. I would love it if you guys would do me a favor and write a case study on the United Way's lack of participation in Detroit. And then I will find and create a series of case studies of the United Ways who are being very progressive and doing something different.
But they're not
Which
lack of participation in Detroit. They're headquartered in Detroit.
No, I don't mean their lack of participation, but their lack of what you said, people process versus dollar process, which our place in LA is about to convert back to
Yeah,
the
right.
dollar process because what we've learned is that the management, even it's funny because even this sounds like this. I'm not sure if this video should go public because we're talking behind the scenes stuff, but
You want me to
the
pause it for a second?
it's not that, it's just that I'm thinking about, like, right now this feels like a strategy session, and
Yeah.
what I wanted to say is
It's
the new guy who just got in for the United Way and is not the guy Chris Coe that I was telling you about. He is a politician. He's
Yeah,
in the
that's great.
ilk of politicians, and he's changing the organization back into this thing, which is a power structure that it does the exact opposite of
He's going to
what
lose.
Chris.
He's going to
Yeah,
lose.
well, he's the new leader, and what is happening is with all of the federal cuts and everything. What I'm trying to say is that literally it takes a visionary leader to move an organization in a different direction, and
Right.
this guy did it, but he automatically got picked up by another organization, i.e., the
Right.
Annenberg Foundation,
Uh-huh.
to lead them, and now the project that he started is essentially being dropped, and these young people who are in the project are having to defend the project to this new political leader who they know that they mostly what they have to do is they have to appease his ego to make sure it makes him look good in order
Sure.
for even the process to stand. So
Sounds
what
like
I
the
want
Donald.
Right. So what I
Right.
wanted to do is
How's
what I'm
that going?
saying is
How's
if
that going?
no, it's just started. It's literally it started,
But,
and the
but,
very first
but
pull
what I'm
was
saying to you, you can see the end game.
yes, we know the end game. It's been
Right.
done.
Exactly.
So what my question is in the strategy here, if the United Way in Southeast Michigan, if we're going to make a case for the
Wait,
need for essentially a different model for like the United Way to start going in a
So let
different
me help you.
direction.
wait,
Yes.
I wanted to
Okay,
say,
let
I just
me
wanted,
help you.
Tim,
No,
Tim,
no,
Tim,
no,
can
no,
I
no.
finish one thing
Let
about
me help her. Okay.
United Way was
No, no,
just
she's
pointed
right at the
out.
right. No, she's
Okay,
right at the right place. Okay. I just
okay,
explained that 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 the work from the efforting on behalf of the billions that have been spent have now been recognized to have been spent on the wrong thing.
Yes.
Yes.
So
So that means that they recognize that without their community in their city, and just having the suburbanite taxpayer show up on Friday night is probably not going to be a success.
yes.
Yes. And that's United Way. Okay.
But there's and what I'm saying is that the United Way, again, it's a national, it's all across the whole
I worked
US.
with them for
Right.
30
So
years ago. Okay.
the reason Chris Coe said let's get back to that community chess model is
Uh-huh.
because the community was first.
Yeah, of course.
It was the leader.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm like, I just did a
But
um
everybody left the city. I can
every
speak to this as an expert. Everybody left the city.
yes.
And so there was United Way with their thing that nobody needed because there was nobody there.
Okay.
Now comes revitalization, but you don't revitalize without your community. So now you have to go find the community. And as you know, they're somewhat suspect.
Right. Well, a lot.
Right.
So it's not just them. So okay. Can I just let's move out one. Let's move out from what we are just saying right now. Which
Okay.
again, everything is a. This is like there's a macrocosm and a microcosm. Let's
yes,
say that this is a microcosm. We're
Okay.
calling the United Way and all of its efforts a microcosm of a bigger problem, which is not. It's a lot of
Yeah.
NGOs across the whole country and also outside of even the country, which are they align their efforts to the detriment of the actual work that needs to be done in neighborhoods, which makes it not. Here's where it goes. uh, okay, have you guys did you ever read Democracy and Its Discontents, which is by used to be the guy who was the head of the IMF, or and he used to work in the he did this whole thing showing why all these places in other countries and all the same efforts that go on all over the place are also doing this same thing that we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about here. That's where to me it's a macrocosmic problem and this is a microcosm, and we're targeting one organization, and we're also showing how one organization is trying, some little pieces of that organization are trying to try something new,
Uh-huh.
but the unintended consequences and the fact that it's an organ. The interesting thingy that I saw is that the fact that the United Way is a huge organ that everybody recognizes as a place to put money
Uh-huh.
already.
Uh-huh.
So when the fires come, the United Way gets masses of funding,
Uh-huh.
and that funding ends up dictating, yes, they need to do relief for people with fires. So any other project that they're doing, because it isn't agile, actually goes to the wayside. So the development process and the learning process of the organization gets thwarted by whatever comes up that
Mm-hmm.
is problematic. And that's that whole part of the unintended consequences. And the reason why we need to build agile systems where long-term work can continue being done in the midst of crisis, which will always be happening.
Sure. Yeah.
So to me, that's another piece of this story because I think that the fear behind big organizations that have gotten to this beastly size that actually are a huge engine for people's philanthropy,
Uh-huh.
like are also like people think that like if they don't do exactly what everybody is paying for at that moment and being pulled by that, that they think that it's going to cause problems, which
It
is
will.
true, which is
Right.
true. So
Absolutely.
so it's hard for them to innovate because it's almost like they're stuck.
They're not innovators. They
Yeah,
are never going to be they are never going to be innovators. Let's not
that
get confused. Innovation takes place in people like you,
yes, I
not
know, but
there.
Yeah.
what I'm saying is Chris Coe was
I,
here's something.
you know,
An
you keep
innovation can happen if a person is in a
anywhere.
platform. Yes, they can have any platform underneath them and
Uh,
they can innovate as long as they're able to secure their innovation and help it get onboarded really, truly. And the
right.
thing is that there's not even a chance for that innovation to thrive in the way that the system is set up now as is. And
But
so
that's but that's why they're failing.
I know that's why I was
Oh, but
really
hey, but now they're failing really quickly. It's not like it's going to take 20 years to fail. You're going to fail next week.
right. So then the question, but I'm saying so if okay,
What's the value?
if they're damned all
No,
the
no,
time,
no, no.
what's
What's the
okay?
value? What's the value?
Okay, what is the value?
Innovation. Ask anybody.
Wait, what's the value? It's innovation.
Innovation
What
is the
is the value?
value.
Okay,
That's
but
what creates the value.
and how do we substantiate innovation as a value when they're being pulled unconsciously,
You're
essentially?
kidding me, right? You just told me that the
No, no,
guy who
no,
went
no.
to Annenberg,
The
you
reason
just
why
told me that the guy
I'm
who went to
asking the
Annenberg,
question.
they kind of
Wait.
recognized him, didn't they?
But Jim, I'm asking the question I'm doing it as an interrogation to be able to break it down for other people. I
You can
understand what
break
you're
it down to
saying.
it. Innovators break that down rather quickly, as you are.
Okay, are we going to assume that people already know that?
Yeah,
Do you
everybody recognizes innovation. I can
No,
assure you.
I agree that they recognize innovation, but what I'm saying is in our demonstration to other folks at the placemaking conference,
Uh-huh.
how would we this
By
argument.
doing, we would do that by doing. That's why I'm talking about Detroit
We
in
should, Jim,
2020.
we should show Madeline our
That's
better
why I'm
you.
talking about 2026 in Detroit. Hello?
Yes, I hear you.
Yes,
I'm trying to say we okay, so you already said we need to show that people process versus dollar process and innovation are the most important components.
absolutely.
I'm gonna just show something really
And
quick.
in that,
Okay.
in that, what you have to move is the mountain. And the reason I'm targeting Detroit is not because I'm here, it's because they've seen the mountain move.
Wait, what
It
do you
ain't
mean?
downtown anymore. They recognize if we don't have the neighborhoods, we don't have anything. I don't care how big it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you
You see where I'm coming from is they're already gone to where you want them in California to go.
who 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 has gone there?
The leadership of the city of Detroit, they
Did
recognize the problem. Their citizens are not in their city. That's a problem. It's great that people come down for the football games, and it's great that they come down party on Friday night. But on Monday, there's nobody in the city.
yes.
Yes,
So
and
okay.
so
So
we have
wait,
these
wait.
magical things. Excuse me, we have these magical things called greenways. There's
Okay.
29 miles of greenways connecting the city of Detroit now. And they thought that would mean that the people in the city, of which there aren't any, would be going out to the neighborhoods, when in exactly the opposite is going to happen. The people in the communities are going to be coming into their city
This
because they
is
can
the
get on a
Greenway.
bike, and ride in, and they can come down to the waterfront and enjoy themselves in their city that they're paying for. That's not
Okay.
happening. That's not happening in major metropolitan areas anywhere else that I'm aware of. There is some thought,
Okay.
there's some thought, as placemaking would, that greenways would be important. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. But they're not built out. But in Detroit, they are. So the first place that that could happen, in my mind, is in Detroit. And we have a year to circle up around that and use it as a demonstration for what you're proposing.
Interestingly, I'm going to let you know. So it's funny because there was an event which actually still happens in downtown, but it started in the downtown and it's called Dia de los Muertos. Did I ever show you about the our
No.
Dia de los? But the main thing is that there were two organizations working together to put it on, which was like a cultural hub, which is El Centro, and another person called a businessman who was down in downtown. Anyway, together they were putting it on, but they split because of funding issues. They split up, and what's interesting is in that split, one of them moved the event to one area, and the other one moved it over to what was called the transit hub, which is the event ended up happening at the actual transit hub, which
Uh-huh.
is Amtrak station, bus station, all of that. So the grounds of that station became the actual event, which was the Dia de, or it's called Viva la Vida is the name of the event.
Uh-huh.
And what was fascinating to me that in the transit hub is closer to the neighborhoods
Uh-huh.
than it is to the downtown,
Uh-huh.
and all of the people were walking to this event in a way that I had never seen them walk to the event from the when it was being held in the downtown.
Uh-huh.
And to me, it was another like what you're describing right now, about people actually coming in from the neighborhood to be
Uh-huh.
a participant in a whatever it is, a cultural event, a
Yep.
thing. Like the area, the access shifted because of the location
Uh-huh.
and the accessibility to that location
Uh-huh.
and how close it was versus how far. And also I guess the other issue is that people a lot of times when they come in, well, they all walked there, so
Uh-huh.
they use their feet, whereas
Uh-huh.
people typically would come into the downtown not by walking. So anyway, I just thought of that as another example. And there's one other that I remember is that when the and I think it's called the first time I really heard that they were going to fix a waterway, which is the Grand Rapids, Michigan,
Uh-huh.
the Grand Rapids project,
Uh-huh.
where they were planning on opening up. Once they put the Grand Rapids back in place, they would open up so that all these communities had access to the water, which
Right.
meant that the barriers that were keeping the communities from walking to the water needed to also be shifted because the waterway became like a um you
Dividing
know
line.
a div- the, well their lack of access to the waterway had been a dividing line and it
Right.
needed to be opened back up.
Yep.
And I thought one of the things that I thought was very brilliant, just like what you are describing with the greenway, is that uh the focus was no longer a an issue, like a polarized issue about um where people are fighting about uh space. Is about nature, and
Mm-hmm.
nature and opening up nature to access to everyone.
Uh-huh.
And it leaves less of a usually when people all have access to something that is a natural asset,
Uh-huh.
it seems like it's less polarizing in many ways than
Sure. Sure.
than other kinds of battles that people are having about space.
Well, that's just what the greenways are. And the greenways are rolling. In other words, they roll. There's not just this straight beeline. They actually curve and go up and around the hills and so forth and so on. So it's serendipitous. Okay. I mean, it's really a beautiful job that they did of taking a right of way and then making it and refining it to where it wasn't just a straight shot down to something. Because that wouldn't be as engaging as a rolling curving landscape that keeps you interested in what you're doing if you're in that environment, as opposed to just a right away and here's the shot and get on your bike and take off and you go straight down to whatever it is. So they just did this immaculate job of creating for the individual to enjoy, whether he's going 150 yards or he's going 3 miles or 20 miles. So the community now is using that as a vehicle, but still the city of Detroit is not set up for their interest, but it's going to become such. So that whole dynamic of this is for the rich and famous is on hold. And then if you mentioned Canada,
because what I mentioned is that in a moment I aggregated for myself when you said the Detroit issue with the United Way, I automatically thought to myself, how can we pull, if we're going to specifically talk about like the United Way as an example, what I was wondering is, here are United Ways that are innovating versus United Ways that are not, which is most of the United Ways are not.
right.
But there are a few people trying to break out and getting those case studies of the ones that are trying, and also kind of nailing down the fact that most of the reasons why I don't think that they're able to make the innovations, or how it falls apart, has to do with the unintended consequences and the lack of an agile system.
So my thinking here is, as we've been discussing, the Gordie Howe Bridge is supposed to open this year, but it's not going to. It's going to open next year. And we're working with the Office of Innovation, the City of Detroit's Office of Innovation, and we're working with the lead on doing something with that in mind. And so we have the bridge opening, which is going to be an international event, and it's going to smack Donald right.
Yeah, Gordie Howe Bridge with the tariffs, and it's the most the highest grossing international connection we have.
Relationship with our friends across the river, born of years of dependence, decades of dependence, called the automotive industry. And that's still alive. And so we're using that as a vehicle this year to announce what we're going to do next year.
Okay.
So a piece of our parking day will go to the Gordie Howe Bridge. And we just haven't decided yet just exactly what we might do.
Where's the bridge located?
It's about a mile off of dead center Detroit.
Okay, a mile off of Detroit.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with it?
A short walk or a bike.
Am I familiar with what?
The Ambassador Bridge, like in the sky shots. There's usually the Ambassador
Bridge is right downtown.
And now this new one is right behind it.
Well, it's down about a mile.
Yeah, it's down about a mile. Yeah.
And it's going to be a walking bridge?
Yeah, a walking, riding. You can ride your bike across it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a state of the art bridge, and the bridge is
Some
done, and it would have opened this September during our parking day,
okay.
but they didn't get the customs building built. Now I want you to think about that for just a second. They built a fucking bridge, but they didn't build the customs building.
It's interesting because I feel that I've read about in Christopher Alexander's book about transportation, and he says that's typically the way that people do everything, is that
Yeah,
rather than creating the communication hub for the people, they
right.
First,
they instead they don't, and that's actually how failure also happens with
I hear you.
transportation.
I hear
So
you,
like
but
you said, that's like another, it's a thing that needs to be flipped, because they need to build a connective hub before
now,
they
now
create
you
the
just made my
structure.
case. You know what? You just made my case about United Way
in communications
and,
hubs,
how we change the world. Okay, you just made. We do the
yeah,
smart thing instead of the dumb thing.
we're gonna
And,
produce a model with you, Madeline. You might not know it yet, but we're
and,
gonna be,
and we can't do anything about the people who are dumb. We really can't. Okay,
Right, but
but the world. Okay, I guarantee you the folks in Detroit will never make the mistake of building the bridge before they think about the customs. Okay, they'll never make that mistake again. But they had to go through it, and other things have to go
the
through it as
so the
well. But
thing the interesting thing to me is, like you said, they'll never do it again, but what's weird is I almost feel like they will do it again, because it's
yeah.
not amplified enough that the mistake is being made. Like, they had to learn from the mistake, but there's something wrong with the way that we are learning. Like, the
I know,
it
but you can.
doesn't disseminate across, and people end up continuing to do what is sort of like the method that is the default, which is like the
It's like
wrong way.
an intelligence test. You either see it or you don't.
And you may see
It's
it,
really that simple. Okay, and so if you
you
run into an organization that doesn't see it, you can move on.
you know okay, but
Okay, because you see it, and
yes,
I'm gonna end it there. Now you either see it or you don't, and you agree. Okay, because
look
you
at
are one.
but look at
Okay,
COVID. Everything just has tried to go back to normal. Like, people,
Yeah.
again, they close up that gap of learning and start keep going on with what they did. We are
yeah,
it's
but
like
that has to do with somebody who's running the organization currently. If he wasn't running the organization, we'd all be a lot smarter right now. But he's running the organization, and therefore we're not smarter right now. We all know that he's dumb, but he's the president. You wouldn't be having a problem with COVID. You wouldn't have Mr. Kennedy. There'd be a lot of things that wouldn't be. Okay, I can't do anything about that. I don't waste any time thinking about it. It is what it is. But that leaves all kinds of opportunities to work in between because we understand what is and we can understand what isn't yet. And there's the magic. And that's what you're facing right now. Is you know what is and they don't. And you have to create a pathway to illuminate, elevate,
and
motivate.
that's the part that I'm in, like, how, so the question is, how, first of all, how is any pathway illuminated and elevated? And like, for me, honestly, the only moment in my life where a process fully got implemented so far has
Uh-huh.
been the Boca de Ora festival, because the school adopted it, all 60 schools across my city.
Uh-huh.
But that took almost 10 years,
Yeah.
but
Oh
the
yeah.
actual but the real adoption phase was about in 4 years in.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that I know that it takes a lot of work to create the illumination in the pathway, and it
Right.
also takes the right people to pull
Takes
something through,
right
like
thing,
the
right
eye of the
place, right
needle.
time. And
Right.
it's really hard. Right thing, right place, right time. And
Right.
it's really hard to get all three. The typical answer
Yes.
is pick two, okay? But that ain't going to make it happen. It's really hard to have all three right. But we have one coming up with Detroit and
Right.
Canada. Right, we have one coming
Okay.
up.
So
Okay,
my next question then is for Detroit. What for you guys is just from what we just talked about. What is your idea for like
I would
a
call United Way.
presentation?
I would call United Way and tell them this is what we're thinking, and I would tell them that I was involved in a thing called the Discovery Program 30 years ago that United Way funded. And although the observatory in the original Discovery Program failed for whatever reason, they took the Discovery Program and established 32 more of them in the state. And that was good thinking. And now we need to update that. We need to update the Discovery Program.
Can you tell me really quick just what was the discovery program? Like
It
what
was
did it
about
do?
it was about kids discovering that they had agency and that agency could be put to work. And
I'm gonna find
some
it
of
real
those
quick.
kids achieved things like, well, one become the class president of his class in University of Michigan. One went on to get his dream job with Microsoft. One went on to create a thing called Make Haven in, is it New Jersey? New Jersey? Make Haven, New Jersey? I'm not sure. Or New Hampshire. Make Haven, New Hampshire. And that's a 501 that operates under the things he learned in the Discovery Program, J.R. Logan. And he just blew it up, and it's just huge. And I could go on and on. One of them was Callie McDowell. Callie McDowell is the granddaughter of Stanley Kresge,
Yes.
and she has done some outstanding work in the world. There's only one who was gifted with that kind of parentage. Okay, good. Once put to the opportunity in the family. Okay, and I could go on. Okay, but
Yeah,
why?
I got it. Uh,
And
Monica, can I share my screen
that's
really
our
quick?
model. Let me
Yeah,
just end with this. Can I just end with this? That's our model for what we want to do in the state of Michigan for
just
education.
want to show it to you really quick, and then I'm gonna pop
That's
it off.
that's our model for what we want to show in the state of Michigan for education.
Okay.
Okay, and
Yep.
right now the current governor has nothing, and we're 44th. Michigan is 44th in the country. Our country is 36th in the world. So if you want to know why what is failing, it's because for 4 or 5 decades we have not been the leaders in education. And so we're basically dumber than toast. And so what we want to do is introduce this model of agency to the state of Michigan. And our conduit is not directly to the governor, but it is the budget director, who's a friend of ours, Jen Flood.
Okay,
And we got 30 or 60 days to have her weigh in on that, because she's the one that's going to be hammered. Because everybody thinks education is all about the money. And of course, it's not about the money. It's about the way we go about it.
Yeah.
And we go about it badly, as you know.
Yep.
So we think we have a shot at that because our governor's leaving. And guess who's going to likely replace her in the state of Michigan? That would be Mike Duggan from the city of Detroit. And what better place to have that happen than in the very city that he just got out of for 15 years and became governor?
yeah, he has no challengers right now, and he's the independent, and everybody in Michigan, people are so sick of Republicans and Democrats, they want independent no matter what. And so Mike Duggan is just
Running as
gonna,
an independent.
he
Okay.
will win from Detroit.
So that's our kind of overview between now and next year, which is way out of whack of what we started out talking about today, but nonetheless.
Yeah, the United Way took us in a different direction. That was unexpected news. We have a lot to share with that.
Yeah,
We're
okay. Well, wait, did you want to show me
Yeah.
something?
Oh, I just showed you the brochure.
It's
Okay.
the inside of the brochure. The inside of the brochure
Inside. I don't have
kind
the
of is kind of a statement, okay, of what the intention was here. In each of us, when unleashed, young and old, our instincts to
you got
is
it
a
wrong.
natural passion. Huh?
Never mind, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You read it.
You were going, well, in each of us, when
Take it.
unleashed, young and old, our instincts, no, wait, in each of us, young and old, is a natural passion and drive for learning. When unleashed, our instincts to explore, invent, create, and discover are unquenchable.
That's
Without,
really beautiful.
yeah, it would
Will
be,
you send me that?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm
Just
gonna,
a snapshot of
Can,
that
can,
one.
can you see down below? You see where it's got United Way?
Yep, I see it.
There we go. That was the first year that they funded us.
Okay, well, I love that. So, I okay, I love this idea that you guys have proposed for Detroit, and I would like to be a part of this idea. And I am trying, and right now, so as a next step of us like building this what we're gonna whatever we're gonna do for this, um I noticed that there are a lot of important themes, but those themes also have to do with number one, I think like the agency piece is really important. That's the part where I wanted to share with you the thing that I have seen from the inside as what has been wrong with the way that the process had gone over here.
Uh-huh.
So, but I think that that quote that you have in that brochure from the beginning, I think we should start
Uh-huh.
with that quote, just as a beginning moment, and then kind of we can build from there.
Great.
Like because you're saying that this is something that needs to come back,
Right.
essentially.
Absolutely.
Um.
If
So
right now, the biggest thing in education is play.
yeah.
Biggest thing in education, play. Because our kids are no longer socially prepared for the world that they live in. They have been driven everywhere. They have
Right.
been not allowed to go out and play in the street. They know nothing about being wrong. In their world, they're the most rightest thing because mom and dad said so. And therefore, they know nothing about socialization. They have no idea. It's why we have crazy people. Jesus, just drive down a freeway and you'll see America at its worst because they have no idea about what order is or the zipper or anything. It's just I got to get and I'm important,
Right. So
right?
agency is more and more being diminished, even
Absolutely.
including the way that the whole infrastructure is continuously being set up, which
Yep.
actually keeps decreasing agency.
Here, here.
And that reminds me of Emerson writing about how everything that we create technologically ends up destroying our that natural capability that we have
Look at the
to,
phone.
yeah, the phone.
Look at the phone.
Yeah, so
I don't have a phone. I'm a technologist. I made my bones in technology. Okay. I don't have a phone.
okay, I
Okay.
know what you mean.
I know you
Uh,
know.
okay, let me. Can I share really quick?
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can get this up.
Oh, and I was just, oh yeah, go ahead. You're co-host, so you can.
Share. Oh wait, where is the whiteboard? Is it under whiteboard? No. More. Host tools, apps, audio, background effects, docs. Share screen. Okay.
Okay,
Done.
and we hope we have you for parking day too, that we did enough to get you here for parking day with us. We'll have to talk about that another day, what's going on for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we still I had so many like thoughts around the uncanny that I just want to give you guys a nice little wait, I don't know how to share at this moment. I don't know why.
I still have more for you for Taylor Swift too coming.
Did
We
you
got
hear she's getting married?
Yeah, and she's got a new
SharePoint,
album
Microsoft.
coming too.
For some reason, I do not know why my share thing is not allowing. I'm not even seeing where
Why
the
can't she share, Monica?
host tool share screen.
I made you co-host, and then we should have share anyways for our guests.
Yeah, but for some reason, I have a share thing and it says photos, camera, Dropbox, iCloud, Microsoft OneDrive, Microsoft SharePoint, Google
Oh,
Drive.
do you have a browser window open on your computer anyways?
Yeah.
Oh, it should
Do
show
you,
your browser
okay, wait,
or whatever you're trying to show should be. If it's open, it should have a window selection.
but I don't know what is the window selection? Is it under
What is it? What are you trying to share?
my screen?
Your browser window or like a presentation or something?
Oh, it's a presentation, but it's in my browser window. But for some reason, it says, okay, oh no, not that. More, and then,
Under applicate, are you seeing like a window with application windows?
no, I see share camera. Maybe, no, it's not share camera.
Huh, why is that not? I don't know why it's not showing up.
Um, meeting settings. No, it's weird. I do not know. Host tools. It says share screen, and then if I go like this, let me see if I just go out of the screen I'm in. Let me tell me if you can see. Oh no. Can you see my screen right now? No.
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 So I'm not pushing on something that I need to push on. What is it? Share. Whiteboard? Website? Box? Google Drive? I don't know which one it is. iCloud? Camera? Photos?
I don't know how to consult here. I don't know why it wouldn't be
Yeah,
showing
because
your browser.
yeah, it doesn't, it just says share my photos, my camera, my iCloud Drive, my Dropbox, my Microsoft OneDrive, Microsoft SharePoint. I don't know what any of those
But no
book.
share screen.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's odd.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well, it should just
meeting settings,
like
caption.
like on my app, it shows the application windows, but it doesn't really say browser. It just shows up as one of the four like icons, and I got to figure out that that's my browser. And then like by the title of what's showing.
Huh. I'll try Google Drive.
Yeah, maybe is your presentation in there?
Can you see my background right now?
No, I can't.
No.
Anything? No. Okay, it's not showing up. I don't know. Um, but
Do you want to
okay.
do you want to send it a link to me?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's see if I can do that. Let's see. In terms of let's see this. I'll just share with Monica Williams. All right, I just sent you It says you're a non-Google, whatever. I just sent you something, but then what
Okay.
I was just as a future agenda, I want to share with you some of the just ideas really quick. Maybe we can put them on your board and we can have this conversation in our next meetup,
Okay, I got it.
which
Yes.
let's see, I wrote down uncanny. Okay, these are this is my stream of thinking around this, and I thought is very interesting is first the discussion of this Freudian idea of the Unheimlich or the Heimlich, and this the things that are currently occurring uh in the world and how I
Mm,
would align with the conversation, which of course we all know Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and this idea of technology and man and the intermingling. But I thought about we should discuss AI because
uh-huh.
it's the huge thing that's happening right now, and also the presidency and what's occurring with that, and then this dystopian apocalyptic and I thought about in terms of placemaking that there was a movie called Leave the World Behind, which is
Mhm.
like a network thriller. I don't know if you guys saw it, where this
No, but
cyber
I'm gonna watch it.
there's this thing where a cyber attack causes driverless Tesla cars to be disoriented and crash into one another. And when these people come out to actually go on the road to get out of there, they are in this moment where these cars are crashing together and they look and nobody is in them. So it's like there's this whole freeway pileup with cars. It is such an interesting it's such an interesting scene.
It's
But
where we're
anyway,
headed. It's where we're
and
headed.
Yeah.
the then cyber attacks and the dependence on technology, and I'm reading this book right now which is called cyber feudalism. It's called techno feudalism, and it's by the guy in Greece named Yanis Varoufakis.
Oh, I love
And
him. I love him so
yeah,
much. I have that on my list to read
well,
that.
I'm reading. It's really good, and it's the whole book is a letter to his father who taught him about who taught him in the very beginning about how like steel and all iron and all these different things are molded into different things, which his whole talk is about the economy, but this transition where he starts with fire and the molding of like steel, etc., like the
Uh-huh.
beginning of like the technological revolution in a way. So it's really interesting. And what is one of his the main theses of this book is he was asked to go in during Brexit and help Greece, which had, fallen. So he became the head of the economic director. But his whole exploration is how money, since Bretton Woods, is no longer backed by gold, which we all know. But then
Right.
further than that, it's that it's
They're
all become
rent seeking.
no, but it's all become digital. It's no
Hmm.
Yeah.
longer anything except a blip on a screen, but that the people who control the tech the tech, which is like, all the same people who were at Trump's inauguration, like the
Right.
Amazon,
Right.
the and how
Bezos. Yeah.
there's only two countries, which is China and the United States, that literally are controlling cyberspace, and they're creating what you just said, which is everything is going to be rent seeking, but the rent is now online.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's
and
extraction at the highest level.
yeah, so that's a really, really fascinating piece. And I remember when I was in school, one of my professors actually went through from the psychological perspective, he went through how uh, about the whole evolution of money too, and
Mm.
that whole idea of it now becoming this blip on a screen. So I wanted to talk about that. And then I wanted to add in millennial monsters, which has to do with Anne Allison, and she is a social scientist who actually studied what happened after the the atom bomb, which I
Uh-huh.
talk about in that one essay that I wrote when I
Uh-huh.
was over at the in Italy. But the main thing about that was fascinating is what happened, i.e., what the innovations for the fantasy industry coming out of it, which is like, techno animism. The phone itself came out of this. The phone came out of the innovations that were coming out of Japan because of their loss of belief in anything.
Mhm.
And the how techno animism is like connected to like our attachment, the way we've become attached to technology, in the same way that like we would be attached to humans at
Mhm.
a different point, which
Mhm.
that's another one. And I've been learning
Yeah.
through some of our things, and there's these amazing people that I really would love you guys to meet, Anne Sussman and them, who've been doing these huge studies about the psychology. And I think I told you guys about this too, where like because of the war, people like, and PTSD, and also ADHD and autism, like that, there's these certain things that have been happening in terms of the way that the structures of buildings, etc., are built, where they
Mhm.
don't want any kind of
Neuro.
ornamentation anymore, in order to keep them. They don't want any of that, because human beings actually are, it's all because of PTSD, essentially.
Right. Well, we're the impediment. Human
We are.
beings are the human beings are the impediment to the technological ascendancy. I mean,
Oh,
we're the
yes.
problem. Okay.
Yes.
So anything human, we're going to avoid that. Okay. This is that body of think that if you think about all of what we've discussed today, the fact that you can think is the new value. Nothing else. If humans are to survive. And for 4 or 5 decades, we haven't been teaching thinkers.
No.
No.
As a matter
That's
of
why
fact,
that's why
this
we're in the trouble
this
that we're
this
in.
is the technology. Like, AI can become the technology where thinking actually goes by the wayside.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank God. Exactly. But you have
Yeah.
to be able to think to use it.
Yep.
And therein is our problem. Okay, is we unfortunately don't have the scaffolding in place for that to achieve its
And
critical
here,
mass.
and what you just said is exactly what the fight in this book of techno-feudalism
There we
is,
go.
because he sets up 4 different things that we need to control for ourselves consistently, and one of them has to do with our own identity.
There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa, I just got goosebumps. You know what that is? That's soul making.
Yeah, that's it. There we go.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I got uncanny goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I also was thinking about I remembered like Smetana's Moldau, which is like that piece of music. It's like da 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 da. It's a Polish like nationalist piece. But I remember when I learned about it, they talked about this mythology of like going through, this boy and this father going through a forest, and it becomes very scary, and the spirits are coming out, and they're trying to get through the forest because it's the
Wow.
unknown. And that part is like where the uncanny begins, is this separation from the known. And so anyway, I wanted to, like, that was another thought that was coming up for this talk. And then
I got to
and
take this phone call.
okay.
Okay.
All right, good talking to you.
Oh no, we're not.
No,
No.
go ahead. Stay with it.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
be
okay.
back. Yeah, we'll be back.
And then the last thing was, I was also thinking about, because of the Japan thing, this writer whose name was Lefcadio Hearn. Have you heard of him?
No.
He had been living in Japan. He was a Western person, and he took all these Japanese stories, and they're like ghost stories, and he made this collection called Kwaidan, which means
Wow.
strange stories, and translated it for the West. But
Wow.
but I remember the book is interesting, and it's so
Good callback.
distinctively different
Yeah.
than what, like, the way we understand this fascination with the West versus the East, and how the distinctive, how together I believe that all that these systems would be more balanced if we could understand how the development was different in each place.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to that with Jim coming back and that he might have missed it, but Madeline was bringing up Japan
uh-huh.
and
And
a
this
collection, yeah. And a
this
collection.
man, you may know him. It's Lefkadio Hearn, who was a prominent, like, journalist and writer who lived in Japan, and he gathered like traditional Japanese ghost stories, and
Mm-hmm.
he translated them for a Western audience. And
This,
so these folklore and featuring like supernatural creatures um, from Japan and the ideas of that culture,
mm-hmm.
I just think are very another part of the, you know, again,
Scenario.
Yeah.
the
Right.
uncanny in which the West and the East have never really married each other in thought processes in a lot of ways. And I
Yes.
feel like one of the big barriers and ways that we could innovate is if we really, I mean, people have been trying to share these different ideas, the different way of thinking of East
Right.
and West, but I
Right.
feel like we still have a lot of work to do.
We're
There
young.
this
We're,
is
we're young. Young in the West is.
I was
We're going to
bringing
celebrate 250 years.
and
These
I was
others are celebrating thousands of years.
Yeah, and I was bringing it up because when it comes to an innovation story around Japan, Jim has a lot to offer around that, like process innovation. And like when Detroit was getting rid of the designers in the auto industry, they were moving, they were like exiled to other places. But Jim was working with Japanese culture, and there were Edward Deming um, ended up working directly with Japanese automakers and making like total quality management, and the process is but our auto industry got rid of innovation and got rid of design.
Now they've almost got rid of themselves.
Yeah, now that's failing auto, and like there's probably not going to be big three once Chinese EVs hit the market.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate. I'm looking at your document here.
Okay,
We
Yeah, where
so
probably
should
need
I go? Where should I
we
go?
probably need to read this.
Yeah.
well, I gave you guys the copy, but what I wanted to do really quickly, because I'm gonna have to leave, and I
Yep,
have
yep,
19% on my computer. But
yep, yep.
if you go down, Monica, to the bottom, let me see. Oh, one of the things, yeah, the very bottom right there. The last up one more, and one before that. Sorry, one
No
right there.
worries. No
So
worries.
this is the way that I am seeing that this project is how it was run is that, okay, wait, actually, sorry. I'm going to have you go back up to number, I want to show you the four neighborhoods. Go back up to keep going up. Let's see. Keep going. Oh, it's like up at it's at the beginning again. Sorry.
Okay. That's all
Okay,
right.
right. Stop at number 7.
Okay.
So these are the four different neighborhoods that our focus is on. So year 1, which was 2022, is when they started this process, which is called the asset mapping process. In that asset mapping process, if you go down one slide, there's there's there was this was the this was there were 500 residents that were brought in by 60 community partners, and in that process, they talked to their community, did all these things, figured out that the areas that are highlighted in the right, agriculture and gardening, culinary food and cooking, community beautification, street cleanup, community gardens and farms, and food security, were the top. They rose to the top of the list as what people wanted to work on. So, and this is in the focus of their neighborhood. So then if you go down two slides.
Was this just in LA or just in California?
Yeah, this is one guy
Wow.
whose name is,
Wow.
this is one guy who now is working for the Annenberg Foundation,
So
and
this
he's the
is
one.
okay. So this is the roadmap we need to introduce to Detroit.
No, so this is the roadmap I created because I was working as well, I've been working, and right now we're going to story map it. But what I wanted to say is the first thing that I did is that I cut the map of the neighborhood is big. So I
Uh-huh.
cut it to the area that had the largest number of nonprofit helpers in the neighborhood so that we could take a look at it as a 15-minute city. So I
Oh,
divided the
okay.
neighborhood to
Okay.
see how a 15-minute city worked in that one section of the neighborhood.
Wow. So
So
this
if
is
you
your
keep,
work.
yes. So if you
Oh,
keep
wow.
going down, so if you
Awesome.
keep going down, Monica, now,
Okay.
just flip
So
through
this is
here.
what we'll want to
Yeah,
highlight.
right. This is why I wanted to show you that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
this is
yeah,
what
yeah.
I've been. Okay, so if you actually, I'm gonna
This is
have you from
uncanny.
there. Here,
This
just
this is
go.
uncanny.
Okay. If you go to the next slide right after.
Okay.
These were the areas that I did a whole series of interviews with every single one of those leaders who were in the NGOs, because as I told you, we weren't brought in to meet that 500 group of people who were residents in the community. So I had to start differently on this specific project. And so I did a meeting with 19 of these leaders, and or there might have been more, and out of the 60 who were the closest connected to the project. And the areas that they told us, one of them was an educator, and they had a series of charter schools that work with little children, which, as you see in the picture, which actually is a picture from Placemaking X, but it had little kids like ages like it was like kindergarten,
Right,
preschool, small
right.
kids. Anyway, so
Perfect.
these charter schools were embedded in different parts of this neighborhood, and there were four of them. So one of the things that they needed is, because they're charter schools, the streets were completely like, not there's not even a 15-minute zone, and these little kids and their parents, they had to
Going across. Yeah.
rush them in and shove them into the gated area so that they could get checked into the school, and they couldn't even walk the street normally because it
Wow.
didn't have any protections in place. So
Right,
the biggest thing that we saw is that there needed to be urban tacticalism in the street to create a safe passages, was one of the
right,
first things.
right,
Then the
right.
other thing that we did was we looked at all the urban agriculture, and there were four different areas where some kind of urban agriculture was happening. One of the areas, the UDOT or the DOT in LA, actually allowed the side of a freeway to become an orchard, and they did this exchange, and this guy from what's called the Pico Union Project was able, and they said that they could do all of them, like they could turn all of these sides of land into orchard areas, etc. Anyway, and so it's something that's at the beginning, but he created one. So there's one orchard, a garden area along the side, and then there was this whole public market development, which I think I've described, and we've created a whole book about the public market development, me
Mm-hmm.
and the team that I've been working with. And then cooperative development was the outcome of the public markets. They wanted everybody to cooperatize so that they would save the immigrant communities, because in a cooperative, there's not, as a corporation, they are safe once you are cooperatized to have their jobs and be working. So
Right.
that's one of the things that is still like being worked on in development, but we found the right people now for each of these processes. And then if you go down, there was a launch. If you keep going, let's see. Oh, oh yeah, we were going to talk about each of these, then keep going down one more.
Okay.
Sorry.
No
So,
worries.
This we
I don't want to interrupt, but here we just started something over the last couple of weeks with Hamtramck, which is just north of the northern end of Detroit, and this would fit there perfectly. So there's our test case. There's our
Right.
test.
And we still, so there's 4 projects. We started the thing is we're now at the other end at the beginning where I've actually created action groups in North Long Beach, which is the second neighborhood. And now we're able to do what we did in this neighborhood is kind of the end of that needed to be started with residents,
Uh-huh.
so that again their agency could happen. And that's where, okay, I'm just gonna go
Okay.
through
Okay.
to the
Yep.
end one more time,
Okay.
because I only have 15 seconds. These are all the people that we met, and I figured out what it is that they needed. If you keep going down, sorry, we had and did like this whole ideal neighborhood, which I love doing this, which helps people to focus on place
I
and
love that.
recognize that. And so that was a process that I did with James Rojas. And also I had Cote Sorens, who I worked with in Seattle. She does the graphic mapping. So she helped me to create the ideal
Cool.
neighborhood map. And
Cool.
then go all the way down to, well, actually go down to 20 really quick. 21. That's how, do you see that division in the
Yeah.
middle?
Yeah.
I did the right hand side because, and this thing actually shows, because we mapped the institutions, the places, everything that was there, where the markets were, etc. We also did a study, and we showed that there, like you were talking about, that has to do with the greenways. There's a couple of areas that have places to ride a bike, and it's like at the end and at the top, but there's nothing that goes through that you
Right.
can connect them, so it's not connected at all. But
Uh-huh.
you can go all the way down to the bottom really quick again, back where I had you go.
Okay.
Okay, so go to 58. 58, this is the way that I've seen, this is the way that they have worked from me seeing from the very beginning. And the United Way pulled together and had folks come out and do like, they had a bank group come out and do a whole study of where the money is, and this is all in the asset mapping project. They pulled together all these community partners, and they pulled together 500 residents.
Wow.
And the way that they were doing this asset mapping was to asset map developing the community partner orgs, and then they wanted to develop community projects. So now if you go, and then there were all these unintended consequences, which I showed, which one of the leaders became sick. There was an exchange of management. There were fires that happened in California. And then there's the raids of the police. That's what those 4, and it shifted things. But keep, if you go down to the bottom, or down one more, I'm sorry, one more.
Okay.
This is the way that I propose that it should have started, and this is what I believe would create a
Oh,
agile system. And
that's
this is
great.
where we start with the 500 residents in an action network, develop what's called MOIs,
I
which
love that.
I
Yeah.
learned that from the I learned this from the Blue Zones group, is that they develop mois, which are, I guess, in Japan, folks have a group of people, about 5 people, that are put together as kids, and their whole lives they support each other.
Mm.
That, like, they become, like, in all ways in life, no matter how they all turn out over life, they still are a connected group. So anyway, in neighborhoods, we need to develop these mois, and the way that it
Moise, how do you
happened,
spell that?
MOI or MIO.
Oh,
It's one of
Moise.
the
Yeah.
two. Yeah,
Okay.
Moy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but then the thing was that, and we did this. So the reason why I know is we already did an action development in the second neighborhood, because I got to be a part of the whole process and meet the residents. So I said, this needs to start first, and we have a series of like 6 action groups where the neighbors get their own agency to tell
There we
what
go.
they want done,
Yeah.
which we've already done through the asset mapping, but who wants to work on what? So now these groups are formed, and those people, no matter if there's a fire, no matter if there's a thing, they have a project that they're developing along the way.
Right.
And that bigger system, which are supposed to be the enablers, and this falls into the Sheila Foster enabling communities, where she shows us in code that co-governance needs to change, and the co-governance needs to be allowed for this agency process to occur.
Yeah.
There needs to be a different way that these NGOs and the United Way are enabling the community to do what they need to do to build that platform. And so this is the part where we're flipping the system. And like I say on the left, place based, an onion model where the self first and the family and neighborhood are friend, and then you build the long term
There we
capacity
go.
building approach. And
Right.
then I told them on the right, enabling use, opening access to abandon. I said that the one of the things that NGOs and the lead organization can do is they can work at the political level to
Mm.
help open up access of abandoned and vacant property to create positive value for the community, connecting with the state, private actors, opening up pathways so that the community can keep going and don't get held up on those issues. And then I'm using the model of the role of placemaking. If we look at something similar to this guy Egwich, where in 7 weeks or less you can transform your neighborhood, and
Mhm.
he has these steps that people go through, and it's the preparing, the knowledge, the plan of action, the makeover, and then the evaluation and learning. So this is where we become more agile to actually do this process. And that's basically, this is what the learning I have, and then hopefully I will get to keep trying out the process, but it all has to do developed by the way in which whether the United Way keeps on going. And right now we're going to be story mapping, like I told you. But anyway, so from the work with looking at Egwich, looking at Sheila Foster's co-governance model, and all these things, it all comes together. And I also used Mindy Fullilove, Urban Alchemy, in the very beginning. If you go back to the very top,
So,
sorry,
I'm
one
not
more.
getting. I,
How do we get you to use our PHINCO design process as your platform? Uh,
Well, we can put this together, but let me show you really quick one more time. Go down, sorry. I just want to show you that I'm also using Mindy Full of Love because
so
she's one of the.
here's a third
Wait, hold
element.
on.
Here's a
Which
third
slide?
element.
Which slide? Wait, hold on, Jim. Which
Keep
slide?
going, keep going down, sorry.
Okay.
Uh, Down more. Let's see. Oh, there we go. 19. 19, or it start out at 18, sorry.
Okay,
Okay,
sorry.
so
What were you saying, Jim?
let me interrupt this thought and leave you with this thought as well. You remember our situation in Pontiac, and
Yes.
you remember that there was no leadership capable of implementing at that point.
Yes.
And you remember the Phoenix Center and the Ottawa Towers,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that was turning into a grift. Well,
Yes.
the county seat of Oakland County, which is the richest county in the state of Michigan and one of the top performing counties in the country, um, operated outside of the city of Pontiac for the last 2 or 3 decades due to an individual who thought that he could reinvent the county seat somewhere else. That now has changed with his demise and the new county executive. And they have purchased the Phoenix Center and the 2 Ottawa Towers for, I
They
think,
demolished the
for
Phoenix.
$20 million. Okay, they're going to spend $500 million. They tore down the Phoenix Center parking garage so that they can get direct access into downtown from Woodward. And in
for
that
cars.
will be in that will destroy the walkability of the downtown, because that actually protected the downtown
Yeah.
from 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 the inevitable. And that's a 2-lane street, and it'll always be a 2-lane street. So they really shot themselves in the foot. But nonetheless, and to end on a high note, they have $500 million to spend. And I just found out
Okay.
here what they could spend it on. And we're talking to one of the individuals who's responsible for the program. The chief executive officer, the county executive, has taken himself out of the mix. He's not in charge because he doesn't want to fail. He recognizes that he's dealing with the Black community, and he's not Black, and neither are most of the people who work for Oakland County. But nonetheless, he's bringing 700 of his workers into the downtown, thinking that's going to change the downtown. Of course, it's not going to change the downtown at all. And so they're trying. Gentrification was brought up at the city council meeting last night, and that's the dog is out of the house now. We have a way in which I think we could introduce this to our friend that is charged with making this happen, Sean Carlson. And we'll just see as we go along here if that makes any sense. Okay, because
Okay.
that's United Way is a big player in this city, in Pontiac, a big player. And in fact, they're expanding right now their footprint. So they're in the news, and they're doing things. Nothing of any advancement like you're describing here. Okay, that's for
Right.
sure. But I think they would be open to it. And what we had said to Sean Carlson is we wanted to take a floor at the Ottawa Towers dedicated to education.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we could find ourselves in a joint venture with United Way downtown Pontiac in such an effort that you're describing here. So I'll just end it there, and we'll pick it up when it makes sense to pick it up.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So not to interrupt.
Oh no, it's okay. I just wanted to show if you go up one, sorry, I'll just show you that and then we can talk about it again later because I have 9% now. But this lady compelled my imagination in a huge way. She created this periodic table of elements of urban restoration, and I decided I'm going to create the whole periodic table
I
of
love that.
the whole periodic table of elements. And so I've been working on this for years and pulling together what I see as really important things that have to do with like even the 256 uh like patterns in the pattern language, the like I've been aggregating a lot of different things, but these first set, which are like keeping the whole city in mind, finding what you're for, unpuzzling the fractured space, unslumming all the neighborhoods, showing solidarity with all life, making a mark, strengthening the region, creating meaningful places, and collaborating or celebrating your accomplishments. Those were the 9 elements that she used. So if you go down, it just shows how I interpreted those 9 elements into the project that we were working on in the United Way.
Awesome.
So it shows
Wow.
like how we started and like uh
AI.
what
AI.
what about AI?
Uncanny AI. Yeah. Oh
Oh,
boy.
okay.
Oh boy. Oh my God.
Anyway,
Oh my
um,
God.
I have to
Oh my
go.
God. Yeah,
Okay.
of
And I
course.
feel like we barely started the conversation, so let's talk again soon. And what I did hear come out of today was we're going to work together on a Detroit conference thing. I can actually my whole team, which if you go to the very top, the group of people that I worked with that are all in it came to me to help with Placemaking US is this group of people, and like they help present and they show like we can bring them in to help present the work on that day. And then we also I can also Norma I can invite Norma, the folks who were in the Prosperity Network from the United Way as well, to see if they are interested in coming and sharing. um anyway, because we are going to build a story map. That's our next thing. Do you know when the event is in Detroit
The
for
event
2026?
it's on in
June.
June 2nd or 3rd, or I'm
No,
not sure.
no. No, I believe it's the 20th or something. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
And
And
are
that's
we?
2026, right?
Yes,
Okay, so we have enough time to build this whole
we do.
project.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sounds
It's
good.
the exact dates are June 24th through 26th.
24 through 26.
And
Okay,
And
great.
wait,
and
there's
and,
something to think about here.
and the Canadian Bridge opening will be undetermined yet. So it could be falling in that same time. So we might be able to tie that in to something.
I want to show you one more thing. This is did you have any more slides to show me? Show?
No, but I also realized, so I was given 25 groups to do technical assistance with in Michigan. I sent letters to them. I've had a few people respond back, and we were through Justice 40 initiative, or what's called Elevate Michigan. But it would be great to maybe I could work with you guys since I'm now alone on this process.
Yes. Yes.
So let's have a talk about that too. I forgot about that.
Okay.
You'll never be alone.
You're not alone with us. Hell
You'll
no.
never be alone.
Yes. Yes. You're the innovator. We
You'll
always knew
never be alone.
there were certain things we were trying to push throughout that network because we imagined it was a network
Oh
to
crap. I'm
fund and
so
all.
sorry.
Okay, you gotta go. Okay.
Monica, I actually have a meeting in 5 minutes that I forgot
Okay.
about.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, we
All
got
right.
you.
Okay,
We'll see you.
give me a new link and we'll talk again soon.
Okay,
All
wait,
right.
wait, wait. One more thing. We're counting on you for parking day. You're gonna be in. We'll talk about it later, but you're gonna be with us on parking day.
Sure, tell me what you want me to do and
Okay,
We'll get there.
we got you. We'll
okay.
get there. Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
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 All right.
Bye.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Peace.
Maybe I can put together what I just realized about us flipping the model.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
All
yeah.
Absolutely.
right. All
We
right,
got a lot
bye.
of surprises for you. Okay, cool. Bye.
Love you.
We love you.